Well, first Holmes was born, then he got fat, bald, and tired. What's up, Holmes? Well, first Holmes was born, then he got fat, bald, and tired. What's up, Holmes?
Beware your host, Jonathan Holmes.
Hi, Senator. Thank you so much, as always. And you, Will Brierly? Did I pronounce that right, Will?
Absolutely.
William. Yeah,
That's
you just
right.
told me I had to pronounce it right before the show. Oh, it suddenly sounded like the Beastie Boys scratching a record on my... do I sound okay to you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good. Phew. I'll just tolerate the Beastie Boys on my end. Will, tell us about yourself. Where are you right now, and what are you doing?
Oh, well, right now I'm in Cambridge, Massachusetts, hanging out with you. So, yeah, it's...
What
it's
a
a
cool
fun place.
world you're in. You've got blue rectangles and looking like nice office. Is that your office?
Yeah. It's it's where I do the day-to-day work and everything, and it's fun. It's
Do you have a big corporation, or is it mostly you in that
No.
nice office?
it's a very small company. So, but it's cool clients and cool business, so it's fun.
Huh,
So,
awesome.
yeah.
And you made Soda Drinker Pro, I think.
Yeah, that's me.
And for people who have not played or even heard of Soda Drinker Pro before, what can you tell them about it?
Well, it's the most realistic soda drinking simulation we could possibly make. So we really, we saw that there was an opening for that. The world kind of wanted that. We look at, a lot of people saying, "I wish that I could just simulate a soda right now," and then we just, decided, well, this is the time to do it. And one day I was really thirsty and started working on it, and that's the way it came out of. So, yeah.
That doesn't. It's a first-person game.
Yep. FPS, first-person
Yes.
soda.
You're not shooting. I've played the game.
Yeah.
I didn't shoot anything. There was a soda in my hand always,
Mhm.
and I could drink it sometimes.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
giant cats once.
Yep. Those are based off of my real cats, Decaf and Polly.
And what? How did you? What? Come on.
Yeah.
Why did you make a soda drinking video game?
We had, mocap the cats and stuff and put all the dots on them and put them in a green cage and shook it.
You did not. Why did you make a game about drinking soda? Why did you do that? What a cheeky
Yeah.
thing to do.
It was just nice, like I literally, one day, I think the game I made before that was a game based on the Golden Girls, and I was just felt like, I just like making these things, and at the time, I made the original version like 6 years ago, so that was with just like Blender and Python, and it was kind of before I knew anything about Unity or anything like that, and I literally woke up one day. I was like really thirsty. It was like 3 in the morning, and I was like, oh, I need a soda, and I didn't have one. So I'm like, well, I don't know how to make a soda. I put a cylinder on the screen, and this is starting to look like a soda, and and then literally that day, I just spent the whole day making the first 5 levels of it, and around 11 at night, I drove up to Boston and showed it to my girlfriend, and it was like, I hadn't talked to anyone all that day or anything, and it was just like, I'm going to make like a soda game. And that was it. It was like, once I get started on those things, I'll get lost for months or whatever, just making some weird thing that I just think is kind of neat. And, and then I didn't really show it to anyone. Then I kind of, showed it to a few friends and stuff. I put it on like the Something Awful forums or whatever, like years ago, and then, then I met a fellow who runs a soda drinking club in Providence, and I was releasing another game at a festival in Providence, and it was like he randomly started talking to me about soda. He just seemed like a cool guy, and I was like, oh, I made a soda game once, and he was like, cool, that's neat, and we just kind of left it at that. And then like maybe almost a year later, I got an email from him, and he was like, hey, are you like, because he was just kind of trying to guess and see if it was me who like, because I never gave him an email or anything like that, so he just like looked me up and found the right thing, and I'm so glad he did because he was like, can you put this at the soda drinking festival I'm throwing? And I'm like, yeah, of course, you know. So so I sent him, like I said we do it, and then I couldn't find all the original assets for the game because we were going to rebuild it, so it was pretty unstable, the original version. But I had all the assets, so we took it, and I had to look through 8 different old desktop computers because at the time I was just buying all these like old computers off of like Craigslist and just doing weird things with them, and so I've got all these things still sitting around, and I on the last one, I finally out of like 8 computers, one of them had the original assets on it, and so I almost lost all of it, and then we rebuilt it, and then I almost didn't even make it to the festival because it was snowing super bad that night, and it was like we couldn't drive down there because the roads are so bad. But we took a train, and the train into Providence, like right when it got there, we basically had to run with the computers to the club, which is maybe like a mile and a half in the snow to from the train station to the AS220, or maybe about a mile. And then we just jump on stage, do a presentation about the game, tasted a ton of awesome sodas. It was like a super nice party. Because like you figure anyone who's coming out in the middle of the snow in the huge snowstorm to drink soda is totally awesome. So like it was just, and then I had to just zoom back on the train. I didn't get to hang out that much because it was the last train back in the city. But there were like all these things that could have happened that would have made it not come out or slowed it down or whatever. And then fortunately, it happened. It was cool. So
What an amazing series of dice rolls that led to
yeah.
the creation of a soda drinking festival. What?
Yeah, it was awesome. It's called.
What does that even mean?
It's at the AS220 in Providence, and it's if anyone likes soda, check out the it's called like the Providence Soda Club. I hope I'm getting it right, but it's awesome, and they have these little like cool events and stuff where everyone gets together and they bring in like tons of different flavors of soda, and they had like soda related movies and poetry and cool things, and it was a perfect place for the soda related video game. So it was great.
That is incredible. I have a Pepsi Blue soda still in my
nice.
refrigerator. Yeah,
Sweet.
it's been in there for about 10 years, I think. My favorite soda was OK Soda.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever drank that.
I totally drank that. My friend actually had a can of it that was still kicking around from back in the day, and it was unopened. And he actually cracked it open and drank it, and there's a cool video of him doing that. But he's awesome. He this guy, I was in like Vegas with him once, and he like ate like a pixie stick off of the street in Vegas. Like he'll eat anything. He's cool.
What I can only imagine. Your life sounds like the best life in a lot of ways. Eating Pixie Sticks off the street with friends, making video games about soda that are then on French national television and written about by the Boston. What do you think it is about making a video game about soda that has resonated so much with people? Because it seems like at first you hear about it and you think this can't be real. And then you see that he actually made it, and then you find out that it's gotten talked about quite a bit. It's gotten a lot of press. Why is that, do you think?
It's wacky. I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm just kind of grateful that it has. I don't know. I think a lot of people like drinking soda. So maybe it's because of, like the realistic fluid dynamics we have in the the liquid simulation and the soda.
It came off to me kind of like OK Soda. OK Soda, for those who don't know, kind of parodied the marketing of soda in its marketing campaign. It was kind of an anti-marketing campaign, but it was totally effective, and it spoke to me in a way that made me think, this is the soda that understands that I don't want people to try to sell me soda. just give me a tasty soda and put some comic book characters on the can, which they did from Daniel Clowes and Peter Paggy. Soda Drinker Pro seems almost to be making fun of marketing a video game, but it's been very effective marketing to market your video game in that way.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like, I never thought about it as like making fun of it, but it's like, it's definitely, like I originally, when I made the website, I wanted to make it as like spammy looking as possible, and like, I considered putting some like exit pop-ups on there and stuff, and like when you close it, it'll say like, wait, do you really want to, like, so I might still put those on there. I don't know. It's like, and then the other thing we definitely got to do at some point is like get like the green screen person that walks in onto the corner of the browser and says, "Hi, thank you for visiting SodaDrinkerPro.com." Like I really want that wicked bad. So if anyone has a green screen and wants to do it, like, it would be awesome. Yeah, there you go. Nice.
Check that out. It's all green back there.
Sweet.
I'm not as attractive as that young woman in the headset. Is she real? That was like one of the few comments on this post already. Was like, "Who's that hot chick with the headset?"
Yeah, here's some clip art that I bought. But she's loves soda from what I hear. So it's
And did you make your own soda? I saw pictures of you
Yeah.
with soda that said bonus soda on it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know what the heck that was.
Yeah, so when this was like almost, so this week is like the year anniversary of the re-release of the game coming out. So right around this time last year was when it first started kind of getting some downloads and stuff. And I got a lot of emails, people saying like, put this on Greenlight. So I'm like, okay, but I wanted to see like how serious people were about it, because I got hundreds of emails asking for that. So I said, all right, if you really want this on Greenlight, if you can each send 50 cents, so if 200 people send 50 cents, I'll put this on there, and that'll cover the $100 cost to get it on Greenlight. Just because I was curious like how serious people were, and like within a day, more than 200 people sent 50 cents. So I had this extra money from that. So I used that to make a bunch of custom bonus sodas. And there's a company in Connecticut who made them. And then I sent them to the people who donated. So it was kind of like as a thank you for supporting the world of simulated soda. So.
I'm on a podcast called The Dismal Jesters, and we are now officially sponsored by Jones Soda.
No way! Yeah,
yeah,
great. That's.
I don't know if you've met with them or had any talks about a team up.
Yeah,
if not, you have.
I talked to one person from them, and he seemed really nice. I would totally be up for something with anyone really. I've talked to actually a bunch of soda companies who like they've gotten in touch, and because the cool thing is that. Pepsi's done some really neat things. They've actually sent out a bunch of tweets about the game before, which is kind of cool. But they did the Pepsi Man game, which a lot of people have made some comparisons to, and then there's Cool Spot, which is a really good game too. That was the
7-Up game. That's right.
Yeah. I always loved the animations in that. So, and actually, now I think about it, maybe that's where the beach level in Soda Drinker could subconsciously have been inspired by. You never know.
Cool Spot.
Yeah, because there's like a sweet beach level there with all these like crabs and they're like pinching you and bottle caps in the sand.
What did that? I'm just picturing being a regular viewer and/or listener to this show, and we're 14 minutes in, and we've had a great talk, in my opinion. But they still have no idea what really happens in this. It's not a game just about. There's giant cats in your game. There's a beach.
Yeah.
There's it's like being in a coloring book that was filled in by a playful, carefree adult in my mind. And a lot of your games look like that. I think I actually played that Golden Girls game. Is that about Rose's head?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a good game.
Way. Cool.
You put that out in like 2007 or 2008. It was a while ago.
It was a while ago. And I can't find the original files for it. Like. That's on one of those computers that is weird or something, but like I would love to. It wasn't very good. It was like, but it was funny. It was you played as Rose's head, and there were these like rats who like stole all the cheesecake, and you had to get all the cheesecake back to save the Golden Girls.
And it's Rose's head was a real picture of Betty White.
Yeah, yeah.
The backgrounds were like rendered with polygon, kind of, which was wild for 2007 or 8 or whatever that was. And the rats were like little creepy drawings of rats. I died just instantly. That was
that's so cool you played it though. That's neat.
Yeah, and you made the My Girl game as well, if I understand correctly.
Oh yeah. That game.
My Girl, the Macaulay Culkin film, is one of his follow-ups to Home Alone. In the My Girl game, you play as Macaulay Culkin. I'm so happy you're having a fun time. You're in a sweet coloring book-looking world. My wife was watching me play it earlier today. She's like, "Oh, I love the drawings!" Like she wanted to go hang out in that world.
Cool.
And the music is really good too. I don't know if you did that take on the My Girl theme.
That I just found some like free MIDI version of it, and that was it. It's basically like the sprites came from the Home Alone Super Nintendo game, and the backgrounds I did, but like everything else I kind of just like pulled from random stuff. And I remember the whole day it's similar to Soda Drinker, where I was like, this is gonna be wicked funny, and then like I'm making it, I'm like, oh, the mood ring should be the life meter and all this stuff, and then it comes to the end when I have to make the scene where he dies, and I'm like, what did I do? This is not nice at all. Like I felt horrible. Like that movie made me cry more than like Terminator 2, and like it is so sad, and like I'm like, what? No, this is never gonna. No one's ever gonna see this. And like I felt bad, but then like a couple of years later, I'm like, I'll just put it, make it, because it was originally like just for PC, and then I just converted it to a web game, just just because it's silly. So.
It's a pretty touching game. I don't want to give it away. I don't know if people out there maybe haven't seen My Girl, but there's a twist. There's a surprise ending.
Yep.
And the way you handled it in the game, I felt truly like not quite on the verge of tears, but worse.
Yeah.
Like I went from feeling like okay, haha, to like listen to her talking, and she says stuff like, "Oh, you just put his glasses back on, he'll be okay." Like she's totally denial. My goodness, great job with My Girl.
Yeah, I felt really bad about that one. That wasn't like it's weird. It's like we've made a bunch of games that are kind of like I think of this other one I did called Pixel Clicker, which is like the idea is you have to click on, like, the screen's all white, and there's one black pixel that you have to find on the screen and click on it. It's just like, that's not fun.
But without the restraints put on you by, needing to satisfy an audience or make money off of it, you can do whatever you want. It's strange you would do that. I don't know if you've ever played Earthbound, but that also has a part of the game where you have to just look for one black pixel.
Really? No way. Cool.
Yeah, it's we had the guy who localized and translated it on the show last week. He's a fun guy, and Earthbound being a role-playing game for the Super Nintendo. You go to a desert, and you don't have to do this. You don't even know you could do this, but if you wander around, you'll see one black pixel in the desert, and if you go up and talk to it, it'll be like, I'm a black sesame seed. I miss my girlfriend, the white sesame seed. Can you find her for me? And then you go back in the desert and find a white pixel and exchange love notes between them. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's one of those games I've been meaning to play, and it came out on the Wii U store recently. So I've been meaning to get that one because it looks beautiful. It looks awesome. So that makes it even cooler. That's like, I love like little secret neat things like that. Like. It's funny you say with a game like Soda Drinker, it is what it is at first. It's kind of like you're just walking through these worlds and stuff. But I wanted to make it so every level there's at least like 2 or 3 things that are like worth checking out in it. So it's like, and that are, whether it's a joke or something weird happens or whatever it is, there's something in every level, and it's worth experiencing, or I don't know. I love that sort of stuff. It's like exploring and finding little weird things. So
Absolutely, and it's been interesting to watch games of that type get pretty a lot of critical acclaim, a lot of prominence at this point. Like when I first played the Stanley Parable, I was like, oh, this kind of reminds me of Soda Drinker. Because it's I don't know if you played the Stanley Parable.
I haven't played that one yet, and it looks awesome. Like I've been kind of avoiding watching videos of it because like I kind of want to just experience it on my own. But it was funny. Like we were in the same category on the IndieDB like top 100 games thing or whatever, and so it was like there were like 100 games that you could vote on, and in the category that I was in, which was realistic sim, was the Stanley Parable and Kerbal Space Program, which are two awesome games. And I'm like, I'm totally not going to win this. Like, but it was just an honor to be included with that. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, it's like you've unintentionally, it doesn't sound like it was intentional, kind of tapped into this thing people want, which is a game that's first person, but it's not necessarily violent. It's funny, surreal, and there's a new one, Space Burrito 64, that also gave me the same feeling. Yeah, by Mushba. You're just walking around with a burrito in space. Looks kind of like Doom style graphics, but then coloring book style feeling too, or like hand drawn weird. Yeah, you should check it out. Was there like a scene that I missed where this was the norm, and that's how you got to this place where you're hand drawing? I mean, you're making an Oculus Rift game.
Yeah.
Gator.
Yeah, Gator Time. Yeah, that one. That's a fun one because it's a funny concept because you start out as a gator named Larry Gator who and you're in a first person, but like you see from the gator's snout, so like this his mouth gets in the way of you the whole time, so like you can't really see, and you're doing all this platforming stuff. So eventually you make your way up this thing and you fall, and then there's this weird guy who I haven't really named yet, but like he offers you a third person camera, so you're wearing the Oculus, but you're in what the third person camera does is it hooks into your head, and this camera floats behind you, and you see yourself from the third person. But you're doing that while in virtual reality, so you're looking at a third person, but technically from first person, experiencing it through the gator's eyes. So it's really a weird kind of concept, but I figured.
So the gator is wearing a headset, and you are the headset you're wearing. The human being puts you in the eyes of the gator, who is also wearing a headset.
Yeah. So it's like you see yourself in the third person perspective, even though like when you wear the Rift, you can look around and stuff. So it's basically like you're shooting a camera at the main character, but you can like look down that way, and it's pretty fun. But it's really crazy because it goes from like first person to third person sort of platforming, but it's all 2D hand drawn like animated stuff in a 3D world, and it's fun. So.
And do you do all the drawings yourself?
Yeah, for that one I did. For Vivian Clark, my friends Nicole and Matt helped out a bunch with it, and my brother, he's helped me out with a ton of stuff too. And we're working on a new game that's totally different than Soda Drinker, but it's crazy. It's like super realistic and like, but it's dealing in a I don't want to give too much of it away. It's an area that I'm positive has never been touched on in video games, which is something I'm so excited about. So it's like similar to, I guess, there hasn't been many soda drinking simulations, but like, but this is one that like I'm wicked psyched about. It's crazy. Really? Yeah.
It's first person like soda drinker?
Yep, it's first person, but like more realistic graphics. Like, it's not as much like hand drawn stuff, but it's crazy.
Really?
I wish I could
keep me posted on that.
I definitely will. We'll hopefully have like a demo for PAX or something, because it should be ready by then. But we're still kind of working out the mechanics of it and everything. But it's really funny, but it's also serious, and like if it comes out right, it's going to be insane. So I'm psyched.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Vivian Clark briefly in there. That is a game within, and that's the first thing I ever heard about Soda Drinker, actually, is like, it was sold to me as like, well, don't pay attention to the game, Soda Drinker. Just find Vivian Clark. It's a game in the game.
Yeah,
and then it suddenly, like, all makes sense after that. Was that, from the start, something you wanted to do? How did that idea come to you, and what was the goal with it?
Yeah, so, maybe about halfway through, once, like, Soda Drinker started getting out there, I made this other game called Scale, and it was, but then I heard there was another game called Scale, and I didn't want to step on his toes or anything, so, because that game looks awesome, and so I was like, I was talking with my wife, and I was like, I think it might make, more sense to call it Vivian Clark, and she really helped name it, and it was then we started building it into the game, so it's you could access it secretly in there, because I like the idea of, like, if everyone always has, like, a ton of people have downloaded the original version and they didn't even realize they've got this this new version, and I can sort of see how many people have access to it. I don't really have that much data as far as, like, you basically see, like, there's, like, a little download to it, so I can see the analytics of that, and it's like very few people have, it's like in the thousands, but it's not like, as many as Soda Drinker have found it, which is just kind of cool. It's like, but I love the idea of, like, really pushing Soda Drinker, and then you kind of have Vivian Clark stuff on the side, and that's this whole other, like, really pretty world of all these different things and stuff, and that's just hidden inside this, and and so what happened was we made kind of told everyone that existed in at PAX this year, but someone actually found it before we told anyone, which is pretty cool. So, like, he actually is a fellow, I think, in New Hampshire, like, searched all over the place because we said there was something in it, but we didn't say what or anything, and he ended up finding it, and then we kind of showed it there and stuff, and then we did a Kickstarter for it, and it didn't end up, we didn't end up making our goal in the Kickstarter, but it was still kept on working on it since, and it's kind of like, whatever, like, maybe the game either wasn't ready enough, or for whatever reason, it's kind of like you keep on working and try and make your stuff better every time. So it's like, kind of rebuilt the whole thing from scratch is where it's at. Like, it's a lot of the same worlds are still in there. It's similar, well, a lot of the graphics are the same, but there's tons of other stuff that's, like, way crazier. And also, the current version is still in there, but it's not the new version. But when you go into it, you have to, like, go to the separate download page and all this stuff. But with the new version, you just go into it and then it just starts up. So it's all built into it. And then there are aspects of it where, like, you'll be playing for a while, and then it'll send you into a world inside Soda Drinker where you're kind of going back and forth, like, a tiny bit and stuff. And then, but it also all works with the Rift, which is crazy. Like, when you see those worlds in the Oculus, it's, like, totally nuts.
Are we talking about Soda Drinker or Vivian Clark at this point?
Oh, Vivian Clark, yeah.
It's Vivian Clark in the Rift. I hadn't pictured that. Huh.
It's neat. It's like, because now it's like, it's similar graphics maybe to, like, I guess a good way to compare it is, like, similar to Gator Time a little bit, but the way the game's set up is it's like you can have any sort of aesthetics in anything, really, and that's kind of the fun part about it is, like, people have been sending in ideas for levels and stuff, so we just build them in, and, sometimes it's, like, 3D models and all this stuff, and sometimes it's hand-drawn stuff or cardboard cutouts or whatever you want, you just make it. Yeah, I like the idea of, like, you're if there's so many worlds in there that, like, you'll never have the same sort of gameplay, twice. And it was cool, like, seeing the original version, like, a lot of people made videos playing it and stuff, it gave me a really good idea of like what needed to be tweaked and made better in it, and then what you know what people liked about it too. So it was kind of like do more of the stuff people like, take out the stuff that people don't like. So,
Sure. So you have a part of you that wants to appeal to the audience, to make the audience happy, but you're also hiding the game in there, so not everyone's necessarily ever going to see it.
yeah.
And then how would you even describe what the game is? Like if someone was like, so why should I play Vivian Clark? What happens in that?
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
I guess a couple good ways to describe it is it was originally inspired by this game, by the, oh, weird, this looks like a fire alarm's going off here. I bet it's okay. I'm just going to kind of like,
I can't
I'll give
hear.
it a minute. Yeah, that's weird. There's all these like, so, all right, everyone, I might be about to burn. I'll have this soda. But yeah, I don't know. I'll keep an eye on that one. But it looks like if they come in and say I have to evacuate, maybe I can
Sure.
bring the computer with me and we can talk as I go down the elevator.
If you've got wireless internet, yeah, you could just. This could be our first fire evacuated live episode. So Vivian Clark,
Oh yeah.
tell
Yes.
them what it is.
So it's like if you picture, well, you start out as a raindrop. So and then whatever the raindrop lands on, you become that. So say like you land on a dinosaur, then you become the dinosaur, and then that dinosaur ends up like an asteroid lands on it. Then you become the asteroid in space. Maybe that happened before that, and then a spaceship flies by it, and then you become the spaceship. And in all those different things, depending on how you interact in the worlds, it's going to change how different aspects of all the other worlds. So a good example is at one point you're like in a plane randomly bombing all these places, and it never says like you're supposed to or why you would want to in the first place, but like one of the buttons you can press will drop a bomb. And then like later you end up being inside one of the houses that gets either bombed or not bombed, and you're like, and you're the family that's in there, and you're like, why did this happen, you know, or whatever. So it's kind of like it always, there are all these things that can change based on how you're playing it, but there's no right or wrong to it. It's kind of like experiencing the different things, and then there's all these things you can unlock and find, and you know, you do something in one world to change something in another, and then so there's a little bit more of a game sort of, you know, some more traditional mechanics in it where you're finding things and unlocking them and doing things like that. And then there's other things where, you know, there's no set like thing you're supposed to, you know, or specific way to play it, you know. And there's even games hidden inside that too. So it's like, and that's the idea. It's kind of like you're playing this like infinitely expanding sort of dream almost, you know. And we want to just do like more updates for it, so it's kind of like, you know, we can build out a bunch more worlds and just put them in a new update, and that's kind of the fun thing is like anyone who bought Soda Drinker is going to have the full version of Vivian Clark, which is it's like when that comes out, they don't have to go buy another game; it's just in there, so it's cool.
That is very cool of you. So you made this game that's like, whoa. This is such a great game, but nothing against Soda Drinker. Soda Drinker is a funny, sweet, time-eating, involving experience of minimalism. I think it's a minimalist game. Whereas, are they making you go?
I might have to. Let me just see if, because I see a bunch of people leaving the building. So let me just check this out 1 second.
Sure.
All right, sorry about that.
No problem. I don't. He's having a conversation with a man.
All right. Let's see.
He's getting his headset back on. It's
So
very exciting. Yes.
It looks like the building is being like everyone has to leave it. But what I can do is just walk down the street, and I can bring my laptop with you, and we'll see if it connects, or if.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, I can't see why not, and I don't know if we have any choice either. So what kind of internet are you using?
Well, right now I'm on the building's wireless, but like I can always tether it from my phone too, so we might be able to get it through that way.
Yeah, if you can try tethering to your phone before you leave, then we'd have more of a chance of surviving.
Is this going to mess up the stream part of it?
I don't know.
I'm sorry about that. I probably should, just make sure that it's not like a super bad emergency. But,
sure. I would.
But
I don't want you to get hurt. Yeah.
But let me check this out. I'll keep you on. So.
Sure. It's pretty perfect for this particular guest talking about these particular games to have a potential evacuation mid-episode. It's totally weird. Seeing where he's going now, there is a flashing red light in the background. I don't know if you can see it. It is troubling.
Yeah, I could totally see that fire alarm light coming up, flashing in the background.
This is for real.
Other people are coming in now.
I think he's getting ready.
Yeah, I think. This is intense.
This is very intense. This is live internet television, guys. Video games.
Yeah.
There's no flames, though. If there were flames, I wouldn't be so glib.
I know. Let's see.
Are there any flames, Will?
I don't know. I see a bunch of people are like leaving and stuff. So what I'm gonna do is I'll just keep you on here. Can you see me?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, cool. Let's see. Let's give this a shot. In worst case scenario, I'll just go down to like let's see. The elevator. And if you lose me, I'll be back in 1 second. This is kind of fun, huh?
Yeah, thank you for sticking with us.
I'm like, it's like, I'm like,
whoa.
We're totally losing him. Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe he'll come back.
I'm sure he will. This is really entertaining.
Yeah, he's so earnest and so positive that even a potential fire emergency has him still smiling and being like, "This is good, huh, guys?" Continuing the show. We're so many other people. Nothing against the guys who made Sound Shapes, Jonathan Mack and his friend, whose name escapes me suddenly. They wouldn't have stuck with us on this.
No, they'd have been
The
gone.
Sound Shapes guys would have. Yeah, no
They'd been
thanks.
out the door. They'd have been standing on the street corner watching the building burn and think, screw that Holmes guy. But not Will.
Yeah, we're too busy hanging out with Beck, and, at Sony parties. Not Will. He's with us 100%. I could just. He is about 20 minutes away from me. Worst case scenario, I could ask him to just meet me at my house. I feel like I should buy him dinner at this point. He's gone above and beyond for us, more so than most Sub Holmes guests do. But I wonder if he'll be back. I don't know enough about how the internet works. If he just gets internet.
Well,
His
all
local
he'd have to do is
Starbucks.
reconnect to the conference. So.
He could just click that same link and
Yep,
come on
and
back.
be right back in as soon as he's got a connection again. There, it finally booted him.
I wonder if we got to hear some of that stuff, those nice compliments I was giving him.
I don't know.
Hopefully he
We'll
did.
pretend we didn't say them when he comes back.
Sure. Huh.
Just be cold and, totally disregard all of the trouble he's gone to.
Or even scold him. You say,
Yeah.
Will, you could have tried a little harder to keep your internet connected for us. What's up, Holmes? Community. You failed the community, Will. You failed yourself. That would be pretty
There are
stern.
so many people watching this right now. It's ridiculous.
Oh, really? That's great
No,
news.
I mean, it's hard to say who's actually watching it or not watching it, but the number is 4 digits now of people just watching you wait for Will, who's now
I think he's back, but he's muted. I wonder, Will, if you can
Yeah, he'll have
unmute
to unmute
yourself.
himself.
There
There
we
we
go.
go.
Sorry about that.
You're okay?
Yeah. So what happened was I went downstairs and they said, yeah, it's this. It was just like, fire alarm or something, and so now we got a cool strobe show in the background. But there's nothing on fire, and we're completely safe, and everything is good. So.
Oh, what a relief! It wasn't, from what you know, a routine fire alarm.
I don't think so, because normally when they do that, they like tell you a little bit beforehand or something. So.
Sure.
But yeah, hey, it's a fun adventure.
I'm so glad you're okay. While you were gone, I was talking about how you were so earnest and positive that even a potential fire emergency where you could have died, you were still smiling and laughing like, yeah, this is good, guys, walking with your computer. So upbeat you are, Will. Do you think it's that upbeatness that has had you carry forward working hard on making video games? It's not easy to make a whole soda drinking simulation game that's pretty big, and then a game within the game, all for no money that I'm aware of. I downloaded Soda Drinker Pro for free. Hopefully I did it right.
Yeah.
You have this positive energy that has you driving forward to make a game that could potentially get criticized too. People could be very harsh about the handmade looking, hand-drawn graphics and the cat graphics, which I think are adorable, but they're not necessarily next gen looking.
No,
so you put yourself out there and you put all this work into these things. What do you think drives you forward to do that?
It's just so fun. It's like, I love the feeling of like sharing something neat that you make with people and stuff, and like if they enjoy it, it's just really nice. Even if they don't enjoy it, it's like it's kind of funny to see the reactions too. Like Screw Attack gave it like a 1 out of 10 or whatever. And the review was still kind of funny, like I was like, I know the graphics, it's very intense and sometimes a little bit too realistic for people, but like, it's that's okay.
Did they find Vivian Clark in there?
No, they didn't know about that, and that was kind of the cool thing too. Was like a lot of people who gave it like really bad reviews at first. Then, like, when they found out about that, they're like, whoops. Like, they're like,
So, at the detriment to the reviews of your own game, you hid what arguably is the most involving part on a long-term basis in there. Got bad reviews and then were amused when people felt a little bit trolled and had to go back and... Yeah. Did they give it? Did they go back and give it a better score sometimes?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of people would just be like, oh, I always discounted it as just like a joke game and stuff. And to a certain extent, it's like it's kind of a funny thing to think about. Is like, if something makes you laugh for like an hour or whatever, it's like I'll pay like a bunch of money to see comedians live or whatever, or like. A funny movie, and like I love that feeling of like, and that's kind of what I wanted to do with the full version of it, is like make it actually like a worthwhile experience where it's like it's always there's always something going on in one of the levels that's like worth checking out, and it's but you don't really see many like strictly like games that are just for like humor or something.
Sure. Yeah, comedy games that's something we talked about with the Earthbound guy last week, because his game is very funny, and he asked me like, what are some other funny games, and I kind of blanked on the spot. I couldn't think of any because it's very hard to write a funny game, I think, where it comes across with comedy in the same way a movie would or a stand-up comedy routine would, but your game, Stanley Parable, a game coming out called Jazz Punk, which I think you'll really like, manages to be really funny and surprising without necessarily relying on dialogue. Was that a conscious decision you made? If you like wrote a bunch of jokes into the game, do you think it would have been less funny?
Yeah, I think it's like if you with the jokes I tried to do in it, it's mostly just like I'm like, what would someone who really just loves soda so much like? What if get into the mind of that and just like do it 1,000,000,000%, like, and so I'd just be recording all these things and be like, oh, soda inside a stomach, this is amazing, or whatever it is, and like, and it's just like you just kind of picture like this would be the best way, and in any of the dialogue in there, I would like consciously think, I'm like, this is like say this with like the most passion that you possibly could. And I don't, I've never done any like real acting or anything like that, so I don't know how you're supposed to do it or anything. But like it's like, but I just kind of got into the zone of it, like kind of like you're singing a song basically. It's like I've done a lot with music and everything, and that's you basically have to like enter into that moment, um, and that's really that's kind of what I was going for with that, and hopefully it comes across in it. But,
do you think it was your experience making music that disciplined you to work so hard on something that wouldn't necessarily give you a lot of returns financially? Like a lot of people just can't believe someone would spend, I mean, years off and on. You've been thinking about Soda Drinker Pro.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Vivian Clark has been around for, has that been around for a year now?
Almost. Like the current version has, but the new version, that one's gonna be, it's so cool. I can't wait to show you. It's really, really neat. So it's that one. I hope is gonna we'll see what happens with it. But yeah, I think with the music stuff is like it's kind of like I figure with any sort of art in general, you want to make something, and if it resonates with people, that's great. But like first you do it because you want to do it, and like it's I'd be doing it if it's cool. Like the new version actually, like the full version is you can buy that one, and but there's like so it's kind of neat, like people actually buying it. It's really like nice and stuff too. But it's like and it's actually on sale right now, which is cool. But like
tell us about the sale. It's on sale later, and for how much?
Yeah, for $2.50. So it's it's a good deal. But yeah, it's for the next like few days, and then it goes back to like $4.99, which you figure if you were to buy $4.99 worth of sodas, you'd probably get maybe like 24 sodas. But with this, you'll get hundreds of them. So it's a pretty good deal.
And where can they find the game?
Oh, at sodadrinkerpro.com.
Right.
So, and hopefully, you never know if it gets greenlit or something. We're doing a lot better on it this time than last time, because last time when we did put it on greenlight, within like a week it got marked as spam, so like it didn't show up in the search or anything. But so now it's doing all right. Who knows if it'd be cool if it did, but I kind of like, I don't know, I just like people playing it and stuff, but that's kind of what I figure with this stuff is like you make what you want to make, and then that's, you try and make it be the thing that you want to exist. With any of the games, when the first like game I released was an arcade game, and I didn't know anything about making games, and it sounds like the start of like a country song or whatever. I was like driving in my truck coming home from a canoe store, and like and I just like decided, I'm like, I'm gonna make an arcade game, and I'm like, how am I gonna do that? But I just started reading tutorials and watching videos, and you're just diving into it, and made everything from like the cabinet to the electronics and the that game itself and the music and all this stuff, and then eventually got released and didn't do that great, but it was like a real.
What game was this? You did what now?
Yeah, it's a game called Get Out of My Face, and
yeah,
that's one of those games. I when I originally made the title, I was like, oh, this is gonna be awesome. This game called Get Out of My Face, like really like cool sounding or whatever. And then the thing that stinks about it is like anytime I tell people the title, I feel like a jerk. I'm like telling them to get out of my face. like, oh, I should have changed that to something like, you have a nice face or something.
What motivated you to make your own? How old were you then? How long ago was this? And tell us more about Get Out of My Face.
Yeah, it was fun. There's a bunch of videos of it on the internet. It was cool. It was like, featured at like South by Southwest like the year after Twitter, I think, launched on there or whatever. And it was neat. It was like this kind of old school style top-down arcade game. It's like puzzle sort of adventure or puzzle action type thing, where you have like this character is named Blue, who's a little cube who's got a face on the top of it, and he keeps on talking about how he like sees this face in the distance looking at him. It's you playing the game, and it's like and yeah, it was cool. You had to like keep on moving around and knock down all these walls and things to create like barriers and stuff. And it was a fun game. But the idea was, I made the game that I wanted to have. So it's like, I was like, I want to have this, and be able to have fun with it. And it was a game that I played, you know, just for fun because I liked having it. So it's like that's that's kind of how I like to deal with that stuff. It's like, you want to hear a song that like you want to hear, you write it, and then you get the song.
Huh.
So,
So for yourself, you make it, and then after that, everything
yeah.
else is just gravy on top. It sounds like. And were you influenced by other arcade games, like other maze
Oh yeah.
games, Pac-Man, or what were some of the games that made you want to make Get Out of My Face?
I mean, I just love arcade games in general. Like for my bachelor party, we had like the most wholesome thing in the world. It was so awesome though. It's like we went up to Fun Spot, New Hampshire, and just like with a bunch of dudes who were just like, we were there to like take out games. Like I played Space Harrier on the deluxe cabinet like all the way through. Probably spent like $20 on it, and like it was so satisfying. Like play Burger Time for hours, or there's so many good ones, and I mean I love the arcade games, and it was kind of cool. Like I was like at that time I was going to all like the arcade trade shows and like showing off the game there and trying to you know figure out how to get it released, and I didn't know what I was doing. I'm just like this kid, like basically trying to, make his way all, all over the place, and took it to London and Vegas and
You took Get
Florida.
Out of My Face to London?
Yeah, it was cool.
How did you get arcade? Did you like disassemble it and reassemble it there? Did you ship Get Out of My
Well,
Face all the way to London?
with that, we had a board, and then a company put it together over there, so it was cool. It was like what was that show? It was like I forget the name of it, but it was cool. It was like, but the tricky part with the arcade world is like I still love arcade games so much. I actually, I thought about, and I still might do it, make like a soda drinker arcade cabinet and just like leave it somewhere or whatever. Like, but Baby Castles, they made like arcade version of soda drinker embedded inside a giant penguin, which is pretty sweet, and like you can play like it was really cool. That
Baby
was
Castles is in New York, right?
yeah.
Yeah. For people who don't know about Baby Castles, maybe you can describe what they are real quick.
They're awesome. They're like, make all these like handmade arcade games and interesting, mixing like different like visual art things with the video game and kind of interactive media and stuff, and it's just awesome. They're doing cool stuff, and I just
Absolutely.
like all that stuff. Like just making things, and it's you just it's so much fun. Like it's really like that's like some people go on vacations, and I'm going on a vacation next week, which will be fun. But like, other than that, I don't go on many or whatever. I kind of like literally so I'll be in um, Mexico in a couple of weeks, and then the day I get back, I'm gonna be doing the Global Game Jam, all weekend, and like. We'll see what we come up with there. But I love that stuff. It's like like I love like just coming up with a wacky idea and working at it, and then you just keep on working at it and see what comes out. It's cool.
Absolutely. I think you broke up a little bit. Hopefully, you're still here.
Oh yeah,
Are
I'm
you?
here.
You're still here. That's good. Have you thought about putting an arcade game in an actual arcade, like you mentioned? Fun Spot. There's also Pinball Wizard if you're in
Yeah.
the Northeast area. I think
Oh
anyone
yeah.
around Massachusetts or close to the Northeast in general should check out Pinball Wizard. Just
Yeah.
down there the other day. Would you ever station your arcade game somewhere like that and
Oh
actually
yeah.
try to make a profit off of it?
Yeah, I actually
Like,
did. Yeah, I
oh,
had the
okay.
yeah, Get Out of My Face was in arcades and stuff, and that it's only small amount of cabinets and stuff, but like we had them in AS220 and a couple other places in Providence and Austin, and yeah, it was cool. Like the tricky thing with the arcade scene was some of the places we went were like, and this was only one place, but it was kind of like controlled, like the old school arcade scene was sort of controlled by like some sort of crime related things or whatever, and so like
The mafia.
exactly,
Yeah.
it's like a good cash business. So I put my cabinet in there, and they'd be like, well, the people who own the other machines would be like, you can have it, but like you got to pay a certain amount to these people because if not, your machine will get broken and they and I was like, I don't want to deal with any of that. I just I just gonna put this over here.
You had you had to pay someone to offer protection for get out of my face.
And I took it out of there 'cause I just didn't want to end up in that. I don't know. I think you're better off just being like, stay out of the scene or whatever. So
yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Speaking of scene, though, is there a scene where these kind of handmade, devil may care, I would put them in the genre of all these games that seem to almost defiantly reject any sort of sense of what a game should look like? Like the scribbles in your game sometimes.
Yeah.
They come across as though you truly didn't care about impressing us at all, which is in itself impressive. Is that a scene, or is that just you? Or is a scene bubbling up around you? Because there's other games like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think of that whole thing?
I think it's kind of like, as the technology, I think certain aspects of it are like technology based, where it's like there become more tools that make it easier for making people making things. It's like that's one aspect to it. But then the other side is it's the ideas of like what a game has to be could be anything. It's like you could be playing like a fun card game or something, or tabletop, and then that's like a whole certain type of thing. Or you could be like playing like I don't know, like running around in a field or something. That's fun. So it's like, and I think about this like it's like walking around in the woods. Like it's like that's a really fun experience. Or you go and look at nature or something, and you can do that. Like I like playing Proteus too, and you look around and it's just pretty and a nice experience, and so it's like it doesn't always have to be like it could be anything. But I mean, I also play some Call of Duty, and that's kind of fun too, or Burger Time. It's kind of like anything that can get your emotions going in one way or get you to feel something. I think that's at least what I'm trying to do. Is like you get people like whether it's smile or you get them like riled up, like kind of like when you're in that sort of state where you're like really focused on something. I think it's a neat feeling, and it's so cool how it can like translate across the world, like when I see people, the other day I noticed like tons of people from Japan were downloading the game, and I'm like, that's awesome. Like it makes me so happy, like seeing that stuff. I don't know. It's just like it's really, really cool. So
yeah, I'd imagine. And do you think that, like, a lot of people think video games are junk food, almost like a soda, like a sugary soda that gives you a high, but it doesn't leave any nutritional value. Do you think that's part of why mainstream outlets like the New York Post and whatnot jumped on to sort of Drinker Pro in the way that they did? That they thought it was maybe kind of playing with the image that video games have in the mainstream culture as being junk food and toying with it. Is that what was going on there? What was going on there?
It could be. You never know. It's just funny because it's like, I don't know. I was thinking about it earlier today with this. It's like, like I compare it to like a song. Like it doesn't have to be like, say you compare, I don't know, like a really complicated piece of music or whatever, like some ultra prog rock thing, like some Yes piece that's like really nuts, and then you compare that to like a Nirvana song or something that's like simple, but like they both have something special about it, like so I feel like you can do that with a game where and that's kind of on the technological side of like how these tools are changing that allow us to make these things, it doesn't necessarily like uh, in the end, it kind of comes down to like trying to do and how well did he do it. Like if you're like Marcel Duchamp and putting like a unicycle thing in a chair or whatever, it's cool. And like, but he could also have the chops to like make awesome paintings and stuff too. So I feel like it was like you know as long as you're like really thinking about it and like trying to do the best of what you want that to happen, like that's in creating like a full piece of like where it's kind of congruent throughout. So like that's kind of one of the reasons with Soda Drinker is like really want it to be like the with the marketing of it and like the website all had to have that sort of like serious look, but also like you should wonder if you're going to get a virus from playing this game. Like that's
That's what you, yeah. Well, it's definitely what you pulled off, in my opinion. Is it something? I mean, it's. I'm trying to put myself in your place because it wasn't easy to make. I'd imagine it didn't just the idea came to you in a burst of inspiration, but that inspiration has stayed with you for a while. What do you think's carried you forward to continue? I don't want to call it a joke. It's an idea. It's a funny idea. But it's beyond a joke. What do you think's inspired you to continue to run with it for this long?
I guess, well, first off was, it started out just like 5 levels, and then I had made a few more, and then we started getting all these suggestions and stuff from people. And then so I definitely wanted to put those in, and then, so then I figured, like, it was originally, I was thinking how funny it would be to make 1,000 levels, but, like, that would be insane. And, because making 100 levels, that was actually a lot of work. It's like, because you got to do that, like every level has different music and different, audio and stuff and graphics and all that. And then there's, like, hidden things in all the levels. So there's a decent amount into making it, but, like, but I wanted to have that consistent sort of feel of, like, still kind of weird, like, the same look, like, and the way you get that look is very specific. But you use, like, do all the graphics and inside Blender, like painting directly on it with the mouse using your right hand when you're left-handed. So like that's how you get those graphics. And I was thinking of like making like a how-to video to make your own soda level. But yeah, it's kind of like it's one of those things too. You got to be careful with because it's been out so a while. It's like I don't want to be like just like annoying people with like a million, here's more soda stuff or whatever. So, like, it's, after this week, it'll be kind of quiet on the soda front and, see some more Vivian Clark stuff will start leaking out there or whatever. And other games, too, that secret game is going to be crazy and a bunch of other stuff. So it's kind of like, I think a year is good amount of time to put it. But the reality of it is, like, a small indie developer, like, you can, get decent amount of coverage and, like, a lot of people have downloaded the game. But still, that's, like, a billionth, like, the tiniest piece of, like, the actual video game world. Like, you compare that to, like, like, I am nowhere near as big as like other folks or whatever, and that's cool. It's kind of like, but it's insane the amount of like traction it's gotten. I'm like thankful for it every day. It's really, I feel like these days there's an audience for anything. Like I, listen to like what was it? Impaled Northern Moon Forest. Acoustic. Acoustic black metal band,
I have not heard of them before.
Check them out. It's kind of funny, but there's an audience for that, and it's there's an audience for all this stuff, and the neat thing is I feel like people who would like something like Soda Drinker or any of the other games, it's like those are the people that I kind of want to be around. It inspires me and stuff, so that's why I love like like the idea of people downloading it by putting in their email, so that way you can kind of keep in touch. And I met so many nice friends over the course of the year that I would have never met. It's so cool. Like, and I feel like anyone who would think that there's something interesting about it is, and even if they don't, that's cool with me. It's not for everyone. So it's uh, some people like juice more or milk or something. So
Do you think that a game like Soda Drinker now is the time for it because video game marketing has gotten so big and we've had certain values pushed down our throat so hard that the 1080p and realistic explosions and serious drama and Hollywood actors and blah blah blah, that's been pushed on just about anybody who pays attention to video games so hard by these huge money making and money spending marketing teams that compared to that, Soda Drinker is like such an honest breath of fresh air, like a unpretentious, completely honest. Yeah, this is just a game about soda, guys.
yeah,
That's it. Do you think that's part of part of why it's picked up so much steam? Is that people want the antidote for all the marketing that's been down their throat?
I think that it's definitely a good time for that sort of stuff because it really is like there's everyone's just trying to get you to do something or feel something or whatever, and this is kind of like if you want it, you can it's here, but it's like the marketing side of things, it's wacky, but on the other hand, it's like they're all trying to do the best job they can and make their games work and stuff, so but I feel like sometimes it's just it's a tricky one. It's
it is. There's certainly no good or bad guys in it.
No,
I
no.
didn't mean to sound like I was demonizing the big marketers too much because those games are excellent a lot of the time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But when the balance has shifted so far on one end, that one kind of thing is talked about as what's valuable. I think it makes people hungrier for something like your game or like Proteus or like Minecraft or like Stanley Parable, where it's like the rejection of all of those values feels like it's something you do for yourself instead of doing what you're told. Totally. It feels a little rebellious to play Soda Drinker Pro and knowing that you're doing that instead of what the marketing teams told you to play.
Totally. That's I could see that, like it's definitely I could see that being the case. It's and it's neat. It's kind of like people are just want something interesting and different. And there's so many cool games out there for that. It's really like it's a really neat time for games. It's like the fact that like you can distribute them so easily and that there's like wonderful like the thing that blows my mind. I love like people making like. Well, first things like this is wicked fun, and but like, but all like the live streaming on YouTube or Twitch and stuff like that. It's so cool. Like people just hanging out, watching some video games, and then they want to experience it on their own and stuff. And first off, it blows my mind when people say companies are trying to crack down on that stuff because it's like that's free advertising for your game. First off, and it's like there's a bunch of videos of where people play through the entire thing of Soda Drinker, and that's cool. If people want to do that, that's like I figure like for me there's that's kind of like with the Stanley Parable. I haven't watched any videos of it because I wanna get that experience for myself, but it makes you, from watching a bunch of videos about games, it makes you wanna like make that choice for yourself, and you might like see a couple seconds of it. It's so cool. I don't know, and I just love like hanging out with a bunch of people watching video games and stuff. And I watch all those, tons of like streams and podcasts. You listen to them and stuff, and it's just nice. I don't know. It's a cool scene. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing how in just a few short years it's changed so much. Not that long ago we had Michael Molinari on who did Sound Dodger. I think you'd like him a lot, and he is all about kind of reclaiming the arcade experience. Yeah. He used to love arcades too by virtually hanging out with people and watching them play a video game. Because we used to all gather around someone playing Gauntlet or Final Fight or something and see if they could make it. And it's much harder to do that in real life these days. But with streaming, you can do it. And then that speaks. Would you ever want to put Soda Drinker on one of the consoles that can just automatically stream with the PS4 can.
That would be crazy. That's I just got to make sure that PS4 can handle the graphics and stuff. But like, it's you know, it takes some pretty advanced stuff. But yeah, I would do that in a second. That's like, and I've talked to some folks about possibly doing that, which would be really cool. Like, because the idea I would love is like, you do the huge push on when Vivian Clark comes out, just push Soda Drinker like crazy and don't even tell anyone about Vivian Clark. And like, so it would be like on like the front page of some crazy thing, and then you just don't even like. I love the idea of like a thing that you don't talk about. You just like you go in there and you just you have your own experience in it, and it's just neat. I don't know.
It's the anti-marketing. It's the exact opposite of what Activision and EA are doing with their big games. Yeah. It's letting people discover it for themselves, and then they are going to be so excited and feel so good about themselves that they discovered this thing on their own, and they'll really own it for themselves instead of feeling like they're just following what they were told to do.
Yeah.
So can't wait to see how it turns out for you. And I'm so glad you're so unafraid, because almost every other developer I know would be like, this is a big chance we're taking. We're going to lose a lot on this potentially. What if people don't play our game? But you're just like, I can't wait to see what happens.
I mean, it's definitely scary. Like the scariest part is like just put in the pen to paper or the mouse to the screen or whatever, and just like you start making stuff. Like, well, this is what's happening, and in the end, like some people are going to hate it, and some people think it's okay, and it's tricky sometimes. Like every once in a while, you get like people saying like a really really bad review or something, and it's but you know what I think about is like when I was like a little kid, going on like AOL, and I was shooting my mouth off like crazy all the time. Like I just said stuff just to be like, because I thought it was funny or whatever it was, but it was probably sometimes mean or sometimes just really annoying, but a lot of time it wasn't mean. Like I wasn't trying to hurt the person. I was just like, a little kid being funny to myself, but the funny thing is on the internet, like a lot of the time you have no idea what it's coming from, and it's like, and it's so sometimes you see, but sometimes they're really funny what they say. So
when they're mean about it, you mean?
Yeah. Like, there was one. It blows away. It's just funny. It's like someone was like, "Is this one of those games that that you make fun of a bunch, and then you realize it was made like by some kid who was dying of cancer for his grandparents, and then you feel bad?" And I was like, "Oh man."
Wow. Before I forget, I want to make sure I get to whoever your influences were, if anyone, be it video games or otherwise. Were there games that you played that made you think, I want to try to make something like that? Because I can't imagine who it would be. There's so few direct correlations between Golden Girls and My Girl and Mario Brothers or whatever. Yeah. So were there direct influences in video games or maybe outside of video games?
Yeah, I mean, definitely some of the games in the games world. Like I love, I guess some of the first ones that got me like really being like, whoa, this is kind of wacky. Like Katamari Damacy is so beautiful, and like the music and the all the graphics and that's so pretty. Mega Man 2 was a huge one. Like that's another one where the music was just great and the gameplay was so tight and awesome. Also like the original Metal Gear, that was cool because it was like, it was a little abstract as far as like trying to figure out what you're supposed to do sometimes, and you get like lost in the woods or whatever, and like those little puzzles were really interesting. And then, I loved like the point and click games like Loom and King's Quest and Space Quest. Those were big ones. And Burger Time was always huge. Like Super Puzzle Fighter, that's a great one.
What is it about Burger Time that's huge?
Yeah, it's so good. It's like it's so hard, but always so satisfying. And I just love the idea of like walking up ladders and like walking on pieces of burgers to like those burgers must be gigantic. Like imagine the world that they live in. Like this is like the most insane nightmare or whatever it is. Like you're climbing a ladder and walking over a burger to like make it fall down onto another burger. Like that's a complicated world, and like so it's awesome. That's a fun one. I played that million times, and
It's so hard.
it is.
I was at a comic book store in Cambridge, no, Somerville, called Kamikaze, and they sell
Yeah.
25-cent toys. You've probably been there.
Oh yeah.
They're selling something called the VG Pocket, which
Oh,
is a
cool.
little handheld console for $0.25. So I bought it.
No way.
Threw some quarters in there. It's got 50 games, including Burger Time.
Nice.
When we meet in real life, I'll have to show it to you because they
Yeah.
changed the music slightly.
Oh,
So
cool.
instead of being like da 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 da, it's
Yep.
like da na 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 na, like you're just so doomed. Those fried eggs and hot dogs
Yeah.
are so gonna kill you, and you're very
They
very.
always get you.
They kill me so fast. That game's so hard.
It's wicked hard. I got to level 6 once in the arcade, and that was that was the farthest I've ever gotten. And it's so crazy because it's like, you keep on playing it, but it's you got to kind of follow the same pattern every time. But like, I love the simplicity of like, you're tracking all these bad guys and making kind of estimates of like where they're gonna go. And then the way the AI goes is like, some of them will randomly turn away if you're headed towards them and stuff, and like it's sort of similar to Pac-Man in that way, where you're managing all these things at once, but then like you're walking over burgers, which is pretty sweet. So
Yeah, it is similar to Pac-Man, but Pac-Man, it's really only the red ghost who's
yeah,
in Burger Time. The pickles and the egg, they
Oh.
all are just all over you all the
it's
time.
ruthless. It's really crazy. It's
And who are you making the food for?
yeah, this
Who's
giant-
gonna eat the burgers?
I bet it's the king from Katamari. He ends up, reaching it down into this little land and puts the burgers into his mouth and says he's pleased with it. So,
Yeah, that would be a wonderful crossover. I think it was Data East though that did.
Yeah,
Burger Time,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
So. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder if Namco could buy them and then
yeah,
do a Burger Time Katamari crossover. That would be
that'd
incredible.
be sweet. That'd be cool.
A secret
Yeah.
about me, I don't want to take up too much time about me, but I planned a live-action Burger Time movie about 10 years ago.
Oh my god, I would watch that in a second. That's awesome.
Well, maybe we could team up on it someday.
Yeah.
And I also planned a weird sequel called Feed Farley
Cool.
about the guy who eats the burgers.
No way.
Yeah. I made little food graphics, and you like walk up to the food and kick them and launch them into Farley's mouth. He's like
That's
an angry
awesome.
businessman. Yeah, me and my friend Jesse made the graphics. He's
That's cool.
yeah, it never happened.
Oh,
Unlike
yeah.
you, I did not run with my idea for years the way that you did. This is why
Right.
you're so inspiring. One of the many
Oh.
reasons. So many people fantasize about following through and making their little game ideas, but you've done it so many times now.
God, yeah, it's fun. I don't know. It's it's just you get a wacky idea, and a lot of what I've been doing lately is you get an idea for a game, and then like I'll email it to myself, and then I'll set it to send the email like a month later, so that way I'll get a email from myself like in a month, and I'll say, oh, is this still a good idea? And then if it is, you've got kind of a list of them, but if it's not, I just archive it, and if it is, I'll send it to myself a month later. So I've got all these ones that like, you figure out if you want to work on it or not, but it's so easy to get distracted on like making a game, because then you want to make other ones, and so I've got like tons of other games that are like nowhere near complete, but like you when you really get excited about it, then you pick it up, but then sometimes there were points when I was making the full version of Soda Drinker, it's like I remember I was at like level 30 writing all the songs for it, and I'm like, I have 70 more of these to go. This is like
Did you write 100 songs for Soda
Yeah.
Drinker?
Yeah.
Wow.
So they're all different, and then there's all like different, language and graphics, and none of those. There's only a couple models that are reused. Like in the arcade level, there's a bunch of arcade games in there, and they actually Get Out of My Face. The cabinet is actually in the arcade and Soda Drinker, and there's also a Gator Time cabinet in Soda Drinker too.
Can you play those games in your game?
No, but in
That'd be
Vivian
too
Clark,
much.
yeah, in Vivian Clark you can play Get Out of My Face, which is
Really?
yeah. So there's a
How do
game
you
like
do
in-
that? And what? How would
Yeah.
you even? You start as a raindrop, and then you
Yeah.
can be a dinosaur, and then
Yeah.
maybe you can get out of my face.
Yeah, so the way you do that is you go from the raindrop, you land on a bug, and then that bug ends up eating a bunch of berries and flies away and flies onto this hand, and then you can decide whether or not you smash the bug. And if you don't, you become this nice kid who walks into a house, and then you go into a basement and go to a computer, and you can play Get Out of My Face. It's
That's
like
incredible.
a
Thank you for this.
rudimentary version of it, but yeah.
Yeah, I would not have expected that. I will have to try that next.
It's cool.
Yeah.
The new version of it, I haven't put this part in yet, but I'll probably make it like the actual assets to Get on My Face, because like I can just put them right in the engine and stuff, so it'll be cool.
Sure. Out of all of your ideas, how many would you say rise to the top in terms of kind of survival of the fittest? Which ones you actually follow through with?
Yeah, mostly like the ones I have out there, basically. Like if it's like something, there were some that didn't make the cut, which you never know might bring it back. Made one called Jets versus Sharks, and there's actually some graphics from it in the full version of Soda Drinker. In one of the levels, you're like drinking a soda near a computer, and there's like the title screen from Jets versus Sharks, and it's pretty sweet. It's like because I just thought that was funny, like. And it's like actual jets versus flying sharks and stuff, and like, but it's a West Side Story reference. And I remember when I bought the domain to it, it was like sharks versus jets.com was like $1,500, but jets versus sharks.com was the regular few bucks or whatever. So I was like that one. So but I was like, man, it's funny, yeah. But yeah, every once in a while you get some other games or some others. There's this neat one. I almost it's kind of I made it like during like a really tricky time and stuff. It's called Me and You, and the idea is you put your fingers on the keyboard and you're controlling two players at once, so it's a two-player game, but instead of like WASD controls, it's like T, F, G, and H, and J, K, L, and like, so it's basically like WASD except they're right close together, and you're playing it with another person, but your fingers touch each other a lot, so it's kind of like that sort of it's a little uncomfortable, or if you're comfortable with the person, fine, but the idea, and same with the controller, is if you play it with the controller, you each hold one side of the controller and do that together and stuff. So that was kind of a fun one. Really,
did that ever happen? Me and You? I'd like to play.
Yeah, I that's actually the game that I had out at the festival. It was cool. It was the Foo Fest in Providence, where we had Andrew WK played, and it was awesome. And like so that's where I met the fellow from the Soda Festival.
Oh, wow.
I was showing Me and You there, and it was like it was all right. It was pretty cool, like because you basically you're these two characters, and one of them can defend. Like one of them has a backpack and one of them has a projectile like gun type thing, and then so the person has to like defend all the bad monsters or whatever, and the other person has to collect all these keys and stuff, and so it's like a teamwork game where you both gotta use your abilities to be able to help each other out, but like you can't go at it alone, basically. Like
gotcha.
You have to, yeah. So
it doesn't sound like you could play it by yourself very easily. You'd have to put
really hard by yourself, yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And in terms of aesthetics, I've noticed that people are more and more burnt out on just straight up pixel art. They feel like it's kind of a way to hook in nostalgia and to suck people into your game without necessarily having much heart to it. Which has been kind of sad because I like pixel art a lot.
Yeah.
It's getting more and more of a bad rep. You haven't fallen into that, I don't think. Have you ever made a pixel art type game?
Not totally. Like the Wii game, that's all like kind of bitmap stuff. So it's that one might be the closest thing to it. I did all the graphics in that in like a pixel. But you know what? Actually, all the graphics were first hand drawn, and then I converted them to like bitmaps and kind of painted them in the like a pixel art program, but yeah, I like that stuff. I mean, I love like pixels awesome, and that
sure.
that new one that I don't know how to pronounce the name of it, where it's like sword fighting. It almost looks like mixed between like pixel art and like Proteus or something. It's
Oh, Nidhogg?
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that when that worm comes out, that's a
Yeah, oh
total
my God.
soda drinker moment.
Yeah, that's
The
cool.
pink worm comes out and kills you. Did you ever? Was it a conscious decision to make your games look the way they do to express anything about you or any ideas, or is it just the easiest way or the most fun way? What made you go for what I think is a really risky looking games, a series of games? They're delightful and troubling, and you need to be pretty open-minded to even bother giving them a try, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of like that's the style I just wanted to do. Like I love and have massive respect for like people who have other styles, and like I think like you play like Grand Theft Auto, and you're like that is insane that they were able to pull that off. Like and
Sure.
so it's kind of like some days you want to listen to Bois, and some days you want to listen to Peter Paul and Mary. It's like it's I that's and for me it's kind of like you want to make the things that you want, and and also like I know I don't know how to do certain things as far as like I mean I know what you have to do it, but like it would be a huge undertaking as far as like time and things like that to like make certain styles of graphics. It's just uh so, and it's also like kind of like the look that you want to have, So it's
Mm.
like the things that get me psyched. I like a lot of like wacky, colorful things that are just, that's just the particular aesthetic. And so, with this new game has a totally different aesthetic, which is a lot more realistic and stuff. But when you find out what it's about, it's still got the same personality. So it's kind of like, like it's like if not that I'm as good as him or whatever, but if Eddie Van Halen picked up a ukulele, he'd still sound like Eddie Van Halen. Like
Sure.
it's like I think your personality comes across in that sort of stuff, and I think that's the thing that like is really neat with working on small teams of it is like you can bring yourself into it, and that's it's kind of a neat feeling. It's uh, I don't know. But it's like writing a song. You put everything you got into it, and if it resonates, that's cool. But if not, you still got a song that you like. So
Yeah, absolutely. You're putting your stamp on the entire internet, in my mind.
yeah.
Nobody is making games quite like you. I don't think anyone could. Your mind is a special mind, and I'm
Oh, thank
happy to
you.
have gotten to know it. Oh, no, just keeping it real, speaking the facts.
Thanks.
I was thinking about trying to write an article about what songs equate with what video games, because I
Mhm.
kind of see like Super Mario Brothers being kind of like the "She Loves You, Yeah, Yeah, Yeah" of video games,
Yeah, I
and
see that.
Sonic the Hedgehog being the "I Can't Get No Satisfaction," because I
Mhm.
think of Sega and
Oh yeah.
Nintendo as kind of being the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. Your game would definitely be something by the Flaming Lips. I just can't
Oh,
decide
that's
what.
the nicest compliment. That's
It's an
oh,
absolute fact, because you're like,
oh.
are they trying to impress me? These Flaming Lips? Because that guy's voice is very silly sounding. And then you let it actually sink in for a little bit, and you're like, there's a lot going on here. These guys are actually really into music and are expressing a lot of stuff
Oh
with kind of a
yeah.
silly surface to it. But underneath the surface, a lot of fun to be had. I hope people play your games. They should find
Oh,
you. You're
hey.
Soda Drinker Pro on Twitter. Is that right?
Yeah, that's me. Mhm.
And your .com is sodadrinkerpro.com. Do you have any other .coms or websites?
Not that like are that crazy. I was thinking about making one just like where I can put all my games on there. So I was thinking about doing that today. So I was like, it was funny because in the email I sent earlier with like the links in it and stuff, it had all like those you know how like Gmail puts in the YouTube videos so you can just watch them from there, and they looked really
Sure.
neat together. I was like, oh wow, I'm like I could make a website for put a video game on there. You could really do something on the internet. hear this.
I think your games are more than worth the time it would take for you to build a website so people could kind of see your library of work all in one place. And do you need that? I found the Golden Girls game online. I have it downloaded. I could send it to you if you needed it.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't have it
Thank
on.
you.
I am happy to send you your own game. Thank you for making it.
Cool.
I can't do it today. It's on a different computer
Awesome.
elsewhere, but I'll get to it tomorrow for certain.
Sweet.
My goodness. Well, I guess we're out of time. Will, thank you so much
Awesome.
for being on the show. Is there anything else you want people to know before we go?
Oh, let's see. Stay tuned for the Vivian Clack stuff, and thanks so much for listening and for checking out the games. I super appreciate it, and I know it's nice. So thank you, and thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you for braving the fire alarm and maintaining your presence on the show despite all of that. As for me, Tron Knots is my Twitter handle. The show can be seen later on Destructoid's YouTube channel, DToy on YouTube. Full reruns, you can listen to them or watch them. And also on iTunes, you can download all of the episodes. I think we're close to 90 now. We've been doing this for almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years next month. So yeah, sup Holmes. It's a real institution at this point.
Cool.
Thank you for being a part of it, Will. And we'll be in touch for certain.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And then to let Sinistar know we're ending the show, we wave goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.